You see that crap? All that horror crap? Things coming out of crates and eating people? Dead people coming back to life?
These terms refer to a whole group of pictures full of blood and guts. Sometimes real, sometimes fake.
But when you see it quietly, in the confines as I did earlier tonight, just myself watching it, and some of the gruesome, grotesque and gratuitous violence, simply for the sake of showing violence, when you see that, not only did it make me feel sick, but also it quite clearly is working away at people's sensitivities.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the Dead of Night podcast. I am Jake.
And I am Nicole.
Wow.
Yeah, this one took a second because we couldn't figure out how to set this up.
And we didn't record last week.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm in school and stuff, and I don't know, I want to make content. That's the point of this.
We're back with a bang this week because in our main feature, we will be reviewing Puppet Master, the Littlest Reich, the newest Puppet Master film, the 13th Puppet Master film,
cute.
actually. Wow.
Ooh.
That's amazing. So yeah, we'll have that coming up later on. But first, let's go through some news here, okay?
I'm like, oh, here we go.
First thing here, some information about the Are You Afraid of the Dark film, which I didn't even know was a thing until I saw it yesterday.
Okay.
It's from the guy who wrote the first part of It. He wrote chapter 1, or at least the original version, but they had to rework. Is it
the old one or the new one?
The new one.
New one.
Because with the newest one, they had a guy that was in there, and they had to the guy who ended up directing it and doing the final script came in late to the project or whatever.
Weird.
Yeah. So
I mean, if it works though, hey.
Yeah, it ended up fine, so it's not like it's a big deal.
That sounds cool though.
Yeah, so here's some information. He says it is a completely original story I came up with, but it still has the Midnight Society and it still has the campfire. So it still has that framework of being
as a kind of base.
I'm still confused if it's is it like a TV movie? Because it's Nickelodeon's doing it obviously because they own the property. But it's coming through Paramount, so I assume it's because they did that Legends of the Hidden Temple movie.
Yeah,
it was a TV movie, so I don't know if it's going to be in the theater.
Yeah, I don't.
But he said the show is so important to me, I didn't want to age it down too much because for its time it has some really disturbing episodes and some really dark episodes. He says I think it is scary, and I think kids will be scared watching it at times, which is appropriate because
I mean, that's kind of what the point was. A lot of people tell me.
There's so scary
a lot of people tell me that this show was, their nightmare more as a kid than Goosebumps was.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say that. So, I mean, I had seen some episodes, but not as much as Goosebumps.
Goosebumps had a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff in it.
True.
And this kind of lacked any of that fun. It wasn't fun. It wasn't
A lot of it wasn't purposely cheesy either.
Oh yeah. It just lacked.
I mean, it was the point not to do that, but yeah.
Most of the episodes lacked any levity at all, where it was it was oh, it's funny, or oh, this like an episode of Goosebumps, what's that one? The one where the teacher, she's the teacher's the monster or whatever, and then he is the monster, but then the parents are they're all monsters and they eat the. You know which one I'm talking about?
I think.
That's a funny ending to a story, and that wouldn't be in an episode.
Because some of them it wasn't always absolutely horrible, but yeah.
That wouldn't be in an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? But that is in an episode of Goosebumps. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like I said, I literally had no clue that was a thing that was happening. Apparently it's going to come out October 11th, 2019. What it looks like here. Here's the first comment on this article. It says, I really wanted an anthology. I would agree with that. That would be smart. But,
Yeah.
we can't get what we want. And people, for some reason, seem to be really hesitant to make anthology movies now. So, next little bit of news. This broke yesterday. It's about The Predator. the new Hellraiser movie. It was edited in the final hour because I think it comes out in a couple weeks.
I don't know.
Something like that. I don't. Let me look at the bottom. It probably says it's a release date. And it doesn't. But it's out in a couple weeks, and they had to edit it because they accidentally. Well, I'll say accidentally because accidentally makes it sound like they. Well, it was accidental. They accidentally cast a registered sex offender in a role, in like a small role, and they had to edit him out of the movie.
Yeah, what the? Oh, dude. Well, I guess like most of the time when you're
it was even reshoots. It wasn't even okay. So I obviously haven't read this too closely. It was reshoots. It wasn't even just they edited out the scene. They had to reshoot it entirely because
because he was in it. And they were like, we can't use any of this.
It says right here it was like a 3-page scene. So that's kind of, that's 3 minutes of screen time. It's kind of hard to cut that, especially if it's an important scene. But yeah, it says right here, according to the site, Black cast his friend Steve, and Shane Black's the guy who cast the guy in the movie too, which is the guy who directed it and wrote it, and he was in the first Predator as an actor. He said Black cast his friend Steve Wilder Striegel, 47, in a brief role, a 3-page scene shared with actress Olivia Munn, because she's in it. It was only after filming wrapped that Munn learned that Striegel is a convicted sex offender, having pled guilty back in 2010 after facing allegations that he attempted to lure a 14-year-old female into a sexual relationship via the internet.
That's really not that long ago, yeah.
And the implication is that nobody was aware of that, except for possibly Shane Black himself was possibly the only one that knew.
Yeah,
of that. Which,
Yeah, I can see why they redid it, because that even in the I don't know about, because that one's like half action, half horror. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I know in the horror community that's not okay, and people will shun whoever out just because one quick something comes out, and people are like, nope, never mind.
The spokesperson for Fox said, our studio was not aware of Mr. Striegel's, I have no clue how to say his name, background when he was hired. We were not aware of his background during the casting process due to legal limitations that impede studios from running background checks on actors. Apparently, you can't run a background check on people.
Yeah, most of the time.
There's like a deal.
Like I've had some modeling and acting experience, and you never do a background check.
Yeah, which is strange.
They only really look at portfolios and such.
And
hey, please, honey.
They can't. There's a noise gate on. You can't hear.
Oh, okay.
But apparently Shane Black and this guy are longtime friends, and he was also in Iron Man 3 and The Nice Guys. And apparently, this is Black's statement to the LA Times. I personally chose to help a friend. I can understand others might disapprove, as his conviction was on a sensitive charge and not to be taken lightly. He was caught up in a bad situation versus something lecherous. Which is really weird.
Yeah, that's...
To defend your friend on a level like that. But Olivia Munn, who was in the scene, she was the one that brought it to the studio's attention. And she was the one that told them, and they edited him out of the film. God, I'm having a problem talking today. But she said that she found it both surprising and unsettling that Shane Black, our director, did not share this information to the cast, crew, or Fox Studios prior to, during, or after production. I'm relieved that when Fox finally received the information, the studio took appropriate action by deleting the scene featuring Wilder prior to the release of the film. Crazy.
Yeah, because as a girl, that'd be super weird to find out and be like, what the fuck?
Which is really weird if you're an actor that has kids or whatever, or
anything
like that. It's just really strange. And it's really weird. He says he was caught up in a bad situation. So, don't you mean getting caught in a bad situation as opposed to he got caught up in it? Come on, get real. Okay, next little bit of news here, flying through it. John Carpenter, and this will lead us into we can talk about the new Halloween trailer that dropped this week.
Yeah.
That was very exciting. But in a featurette, that's like a short thing. he gushes that it's the best since the original movie, is what he says. He says, "This is as good as I've seen since we did the first movie." That's his quote for that. And there are those that are critical of him saying that because he's known for being like, he said stuff like, "I like when my movies get remade because I get money from it."
Yeah,
He
he
kinda
gets a
just,
cut, yeah.
like, it seems like there's a lot of him being like, if you give him enough money, he'll kind of be like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be great." But the footage that we've seen so far,
Yeah, so
has
far
been
looks really
phenomenal.
good.
It's been really good.
You know, and I hope it is really good, because we're all gonna look really dumb if it bombs, you know, and there's all this really good merch out. I mean,
all this hype and all these,
Yeah.
everybody's getting all these licenses for merch because, like, I think Fright Rags has a license, Creepy Co has a license, I think Cavity Killers has a license now too. Like, it's gonna be really.
I mean, Trick or Treat with his mask,
yeah, it's gonna be really unfortunate if
it
it's
bombs.
not very good. But the last trailer was awesome.
Yeah,
It
and
was
there
great.
was, I mean, there was some parts that were kind of the same, but I really liked the like extra shit.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, I'm really excited. As much as I love Halloween, I don't like Halloween 2 really, so the loss of that isn't a big deal.
see, because this is the thing too, I've never really watched them, and I've seen like people's reviews, and like especially with Dead Meat, shout out, hey boy. Yeah, like just watching that, and I never really liked it before,
Yeah.
and I thought it was boring, but now I watch it, I'm like, oh my god, he's creeping around, like all
Yeah.
quiet, like that is terrifying. Like I'm not trying to look out our window
and I love Halloween 4. I love Halloween. I like the Thorn trilogy stuff because it's fun. It's not good,
yeah.
but it's fun. I think 5, like when you go to 4 to 5, there's a big drop off in like watchability and this being like good. like at the point you're kind of like, oh, this is not very good anymore. And while I like that continuity and that version of that story, I also like the idea of just them going back and being like, Laurie Strode's back, they're not related, they're not this, they're not that. Because the thing with them being related is John Carpenter has seemed to always dislike that. He's always been like, yeah, he was like, I hate that he was kind of like trying to find something to do in the second one, which I didn't even want to make in the first place, to be like a big deal. And he was like, I guess we'll go on them being like, brother and sister or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do like losing it in that respect of being like, oh, like we don't have to worry about them being related, because he's a lot creepier if he's just a crazy guy that wants to kill people, as opposed to for an episode of the podcast I want to watch the Thorn trilogy, which is 4, 5, and 6, and we can review that. But they go into this whole thing about there being a cult and all that stuff. They actually try to give him like a reason why he's trying to kill his family members. It's really strange. Yeah, it's really odd. And it's funny when you think about how pretty much that entire trilogy of movies and that storyline is based on like a beleaguered John Carpenter being like, I guess they're related or whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
and,
Yeah.
And then they got 3 movies out of it trying to explain it away, at least. So it is nice for them to go back to ground zero, go back to the base,
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I really like all the merch that's come out too so far.
Yeah.
I am buying it just because of that.
The Fright Rag shirt is really cool. But yeah, the trailer dropped. It had a lot of cool stuff in it. Had a lot of cool little references. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of references to shots from the first one, and like little weird cameos. Not really cameos, are like homages to the second one, which is pretty cool. And my favorite one was obviously the Halloween 3 masks on the kids. That was super cool.
Yeah, that was so cute. Well, the first trailer, we didn't really catch them.
Yeah, I didn't really catch it.
Like, it was
and this
super
trailer was a
quick.
lot better, by the way.
Yeah.
Than the first one. It got me a lot more excited because there was more focus on like when he's out, as opposed to like in the last one there was a lot of like him and the
like
and
mental
him
prison
like
essentially.
escaping and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's like,
Well,
we all
this
know
like
it's gonna
when
happen.
he's like in front and all the trick or treaters are everywhere. You're
Yeah.
like, oh shit,
Well,
no one is safe.
Well, it has that like Halloween feel to it. When
Yeah.
it's trick or treaters on stuff like that. But yeah, and it showed that at least part of that scene from Comic-Con where they say that he goes like in and out of like 4 houses and like kills people in them.
Yeah.
Like he like weaves, and it's all like one shot, which is cool. But they like cut it in the trailer. I was hoping to hear more new pieces of music though, because they said something about new pieces of music, or because there's like a new score to the whole film and whatever. Or there's at least got to be new pieces in there, and they all of the ones they use were from the first one, like all the ones they used in the trailer, which was awesome because I love hearing those like moments, getting that when the dun when that part kicks in,
the very,
and it's like, oh hell yeah. But I was hoping to hear some like new stuff, because it's composed by John Carpenter, who did the original obviously, but it's also, I forget the guy's name. It's the guy he's been pairing with to do all this like recent stuff. Like he did those Lost Themes records, where it's pretty much just like a just synthy soundtracky sounding music he was just doing on his own. And then he did that anthology one that was recorded. It was like re-recorded versions of his popular themes. They had like Halloween, The Fog, but they were like new versions, but they're with this extra guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm curious to hear how it is with this extra guy as opposed to just John or whatever. That's weird. But yeah, I'm just going through the trailer here, watching just to refresh my memory here. A lot of cool shots in this trailer, man. Like the bus with like all the heavy lights on it and stuff
Well,
like that.
almost halfway through, like with Lori, you really wonder, like, oh shit, like, is he gonna kill her? Like, you know, and you're just like,
I will say that they've already said like, oh, we have ideas for other like sequels or whatever. Which I'm like, why? I would love for it to just be like a final like hurrah. Because I don't know if you know, this is technically I think the third time that they've erased canon before. Because they did Halloween 1, 2. Technically 3 isn't even in the same timeline because Halloween's in it, like the movie Halloween's in it. And then so they did 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And then with H2O, they like erased all that. At least 4, 5, and 6 they erased. 4, 5, and 6. So technically the timeline then would be Halloween 1, 2, H2O, and Resurrection.
Yeah.
Which is better left gone. But now they've even erased that and part 2 for this new one.
Just pretend that didn't.
This is essentially the new Halloween 2, which is weird. And they're both called Halloween for some reason.
They
Also
love
strange.
that name. I mean, I love the name too. So.
But yeah, I can't wait. October 19th. I don't think we're gonna be able to see it till that Saturday because my band's recording that weekend. That day. October 18th and 19th we're recording that day, so we might not be able to see it.
And I'm probably gonna do that fashion show, which is the 21st.
Saturday, yeah. So that Saturday, the 20th, we probably get to see it, and then we can talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Our October is very.
Our October is full.
Like.
Okay, let's go. Let's look here. Okay, this is some weird news that'll go off in other news because there's a lot of things pertaining to this because I think it's interesting. Harry Manfredini's Friday the 13th, the game soundtrack, is being released on CD this month, which isn't that interesting in news by itself, but I think it's more interesting considering the massive lawsuit that's going on right now with Friday the 13th, which is why there's been no game updates.
Yeah. Because I know
like,
you said that they
that's
ran
why
into
everything
that
is
problem.
Everything is kind of on hold right now as far as
that sucks.
everything Friday the 13th. So I thought it was interesting. I was like, how is this CD coming out? But I guess if maybe it's just the music and they don't use like Jason imagery on it, because what this, I was reading this article about Friday the 13th about the whole like lawsuit and everything like that. So what it is that Victor Miller, who wrote the screenplay for the original film, he is like, I want my my rights back to Friday the 13th. Because apparently under the 1976 U.S. Copyright Act, as like a writer and artist, you have the ability to challenge for the rights to your work that you may have sold after 35 years. You have to wait 35 years, and then you can be like, hey, I want that back. And he is literally credited on his Wikipedia page, if you look on there. Based upon characters created by Victor Miller, and that's Jason Voorhees, because he actually came up with the Jason Voorhees character in the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, he only wrote the first one, and he actually has said that he hated the fact that Jason was the killer in the other ones, which is really strange, because it's like, you couldn't make a sequel with Pamela Voorhees being the killer, but whatever. So yeah, the big dispute is that essentially Sean S. Cunningham, who's kind of in charge of the Friday the 13th stuff, he is saying that him and Paramount are saying that he was hired as a work for hire as opposed to an on-spec writer. And essentially what it's going to come down to is who can prove under what circumstances he was hired or not. And it's going to take a really long time, and unfortunately nothing Friday the 13th related can come out until then.
Yeah.
Essentially. Like it's got to be stopped.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's essentially two roads where he can reclaim his rights if he was a freelance writer that wrote it on spec. He says that he wrote the first draft independently of everyone else with no contracts or no nothing. So essentially, if he had been contracted before he wrote the script, then he has no claim to it at all. But if he wrote it and then a contract came as being like, we want to buy this script, then it's under him. Then he can, inherit that back. And I thought it was interesting that the things people use for evidence, it says a memo to Sean Cunningham from his assistant dated May 22nd, 1979, mentions sending Tom Savini the first draft of the script. And May 23rd letter also refers to that. But the problem is that it says that Cunningham has like a screenwriting agreement that's like before that date, so it's like there's this really unclear thing of what's actually going to happen going on. I'm going to watch it closely because I find shit like that fascinating. Yeah. Like the H3 lawsuit was fascinating. Yeah. Like the CM Punk.
I'm glad that we all got to watch that, go down too. Yeah.
Got to watch it play out. Matter of law,
Yeah.
But the unfortunate casualty in this really has been the Friday 13th game, because they can no longer release content updates to the game anymore.
Because the last couple updates they had were pretty good.
Yeah. It really started to get going as far as like.
Because I was talking to somebody about it, and they were like, "Well, how are they getting the rights to like each movie and for the way exactly Jason looks?" And I'm like,
"I don't." By Paramount, but
yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
New Line, but because they had two things that were on the that were ready to come out. That was the Jason X stuff.
Yeah.
With the Uber Jason and the Grendel map on the ship, which would be awesome. I would love if they had that. And some paranoia mode, which they never got into details about what that was, but it looked like it was like a mode where it's like one of you is like secretly Jason. Like it was almost like a New Beginning Part 5 kind of deal where it's like,
yeah,
who's Jason out of all of us?
Who's sneaking around?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who's like being an imposter Jason, which is really cool. But that's all had to be put on hold. And the unfortunate thing is about with games like this, when they have to be stopped and they can't actively develop for it, that's it. Like the game's got the game's gonna be done.
Yeah,
soon.
I just wish like
the game will be offline, will be done very soon.
Come on, because that game's really good. It's hard. I've tried to play it.
It's just fun.
Yeah, but I mean, I've watched you play it a lot. And
it's just mindless fun. Most importantly,
I just kind of wish like all franchises were just okay with each other. Like, yeah, you could do that. Like, let's see what you do.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
how.
like everyone gets a cut.
What I think is
but-
interesting because there was a game that came out, Dead by Daylight, that is a very similar style, but that game has Leatherface. It's got Freddy Krueger. It's got Michael Myers. It's got Jigsaw's in it.
Oh.
Jigsaw, but it's as the pig head because
Yeah,
you have to have
of
a
course.
character that runs around. Obviously, you
Yeah.
can't have toe and bill or whatever. But it's weird because it's not the Robert Englund Freddy. It's the new one,
Oh.
which that was also the Freddy that was in Mortal Kombat.
That's not surprising
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that one.
All right, so let's stop playing tickle butt here. Let's stop dance around the subject. Let's talk about Puppet Master, the Littlest Reich,
Yeah, that was.
the 13th of in the series of Puppet Master, I guess. Even though it's a reboot technically.
That's so. Cute point to do it at.
So first, let me just go over. I have seen every Puppet Master movie since or up until Retro Puppet Master, which is only the. Oh, let me look. God, damn it. Which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th movie. So I haven't seen Puppet Master: The Legacy. I haven't seen Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, which was another Full Moon franchise that they had at the same time.
Okay.
Really weird.
All right.
I haven't seen Puppet Master: Axis of Evil, Puppet Master X Axis Rising, or Puppet Master Axis Termination, which is they're all Nazi-oriented, Nazi-related movies.
Okay.
So, Littlest Reich is weird.
Yeah, that was. I mean.
Because it's so Nicole hasn't seen.
No, I haven't seen anything, so I
The
kind
other
of went
Puppet
into this
Masters.
blind.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can say I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. Only because it was so fucking over the top.
Yeah, it was.
It was
So-
like, I was like, oh, this is great.
Which I liked. And there was a lot of parts that I found myself just laughing at because they were like dumb, like harmless jokes.
Yeah.
But
So in the original thing, Andre Toulon, who's the puppet master in question, who's the titular puppet master, if you will, he is like a Jewish guy that is like in World War II, and he's fighting against the Nazis with puppets.
yeah.
Because in the first movie, the puppets are bad guys. It's really weird. And then, like I said, up until this newest one, they were the good guys.
Yeah,
Essentially in every
which is
single
weird,
movie,
yeah.
which is really strange. Give or take, maybe some things. I don't know. So when they open this one up, and Andre Toulon comes in the bar or whatever, because it opens up there in a bar in the 80s or whatever.
Because it has I did like the beginning credits too, where they tried to give you kind of a backstory.
Yeah.
And that's when he saw this, and I was like,
like,
oh,
oh.
that's
Yeah,
a little weird.
Because in the original timeline, I think he dies in like 1945. Toulon. So if he's alive in the 80s, it's obviously like this is different.
What?
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes into a bar and he's like trying to hit on some girl or whatever,
Yeah, there was. I don't.
and the girls
yeah.
are lesbians, and then he gets like disgusted that they're homosexuals. And
Yeah.
he goes, and which
He like storms out.
even at that point, I'm kind of like, what's going on here? Because it's not that obvious that he's like a Nazi yet, even though it looks so weird.
Yeah, no, and a lot of it looked sort of modern. Maybe it's just me. Because that very first couple scenes, I'm like, this looks like a whatever kind of bar.
And he was very expertly played by Udo Kier, who has a great voice.
That's
But
very good.
he's one of those guys that's been in like a million different things. He's one of those like character actor guys. He was like Dracula before, and I think it was Andy Warhol's Dracula, which is kind of interesting. I'm trying to find it. He's in Dracula 3000. God. Grindhouse. He's been in like everything. Blood Rain, everybody's favorite. Yeah, he's been in about it. You can see on here. He's been in about a million different movies here. So, He's got a great voice. But yeah, so he comes in, and then they're like, the lesbians like leave the bar, and then I guess the puppets kill them in the car in a cool way.
Yeah.
In a very we should have said spoiler alert for this too.
Oh yeah,
But I
very.
assume that you would be aware that
You could put it at the beginning.
we're gonna spoil the movie. So, but yeah, they kill the lesbians in the car.
And he didn't even see what was happening, and I kind of watched the like puppet put this like wire around her neck or something.
Yeah. He puts like a wire around her neck, and then they like open the hood of the car so it causes her to brake. So she brakes, and then
she goes forward, and it chops her head off.
Which is awesome. I mean, was like, this is so.
He was
cool.
like, oh. And we were like, oh, well, that happened.
Happy with that.
Yeah, there was a lot of moments that I was like, that's not what I was expecting.
So then the cops find them, and then I don't know how and then Toulon's in like a tomb or whatever, just laying down like screaming or something.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
I don't know if he like started dying.
It was like cutting back and forth from this, and then
there's like there's the character introduction to the guy.
Well, I'm saying then the cops find out. They go to his house and they kill him. I guess they like shoot him because Barbara Crampton plays the older version of one of the police officers, and she talks about how they shot him.
Yeah.
Because he had a gun and he just didn't do anything, whatever. So then it flashes. Well, then it does this like montage of like. It does that like animated thing with the credits, remember?
Yeah.
And it shows like Toulon being like a Nazi this time instead, because they said this is like an alternate timeline where now he's a Nazi and not a, guy fighting against the Nazis. So they just
there's that little plot twist.
Yeah. So they show that timeline where he was using the puppets to hunt down Jews or whatever. Mm-hmm.
They're fast.
Which they do the logic later. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Like they're small, they can get in places, all that stuff like that. Makes sense. And then they get to Thomas Lennon's character, who is like a comic book dude, recently divorced.
Mm-hmm. That's a big part of it. And I will say right now, his parents are so
they're the worst.
mean. The dad, I was just like, damn, I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah. So, making a long story short, he falls in love with this like girl that it's like some guy's little sister that he knows or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
And he has one of the puppets with him.
Yeah, because I guess his brother like was
and
was murdered or something, and he was like, well, now I know what killed my brother. So
and so he's gonna go to this convention where a bunch of people bring the puppets and they auction them.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing that's just for these murders.
Because it turned out that he had like women up in the.
It's like a museum house that the guy goes to, and they all go to look at it, and that's part of like the tour with this convention thing.
Yeah.
They don't show any part of the convention. It's not really needed.
It's not really a convention, or it doesn't look like a convention.
I don't know. I don't know if it was just like a little get together thing, but that's what they said.
Because they go tour Toulon's house or whatever.
Yeah.
And then his mansion.
And I thought they did like a back thing too or something.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I thought there was like an extra VIP thing that they did. Maybe though. I don't know.
But they like tour his mansion, and then they come back to the hotel, and that's when shit starts going loose because everybody's puppets are gone. Everybody's like, somebody stole my puppets.
Yeah.
And the assumption is because they're worth a lot of money, or like people want to buy them. Because I guess he made puppets and like sold them to people. It's from what I can tell. He like yeah.
Made like specialty ones or something.
Yeah, and he would like sell them before he got killed or whatever. So they start. All hell starts breaking loose on this thing. All right. So first, before we go into the details of the mayhem, I want to play a game with you.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Be fun.
All right.
Wow, they changed one of their names. That's weird. Okay.
That's not helpful.
Well, for me. Okay. So I'm gonna give you the toss-ups here, the like layups. What about Blade? Which one do you think Blade was? Essentially, I'm gonna name the puppet, and then Nicole's gonna try to guess which one it is.
It's not the little skull face one.
That's a version of Blade, yeah. There are actually 3 different Blades in the movie.
Oh.
Remember, because there's the one that he has.
Yeah.
There's the skull face one, and there's the one without the hair that the guy
Because
mentions.
there's the last one that is okay.
Yeah,
Am
so
I right?
those are blades, but he has a
The-
blade for one hand and a hook for the other.
Yeah.
hand.
Okay. Yeah. And because there was the first one, and that's kind of the one that he had with the kind of weird
Yeah,
hair.
and he looks
kind of the one that's
he
like
looks
all over the posters.
completely different from his original
Really?
design. His
'Cause
his face is completely different.
Yeah, because
That's
I
what's
was
weird.
wondering to ask you, like,
Yeah.
if they redid them, like,
They
revamped a lot of them, or.
Two of them look very similar, but all the other ones look the same.
And there was a couple ones that we were
Well,
like,
there are
what the
only
fuck is that?
There are only 4 that are repeats, really. From the
Okay,
original,
weird.
so. There's also, what about Pinhead? Which one do you think Pinhead is? I'm going through the with the
Is that the one that has like a cone for her head that like spins?
no, it's not.
No. I don't know. I'm like,
Pinhead's the one. He's got like a tiny head, but he's got the big old body. He's like
oh,
strong.
they're like
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, Pinhead. That's why, because he's got a little,
Oh,
little head.
okay. Damn it.
Which one do you think Tunneler is? Tunneler.
Is that the one with the head?
Yes, that's the one with the.
Yeah,
the
okay, yeah.
Those are all 3 from the original movie. They've been. I
Okay.
think they've been in every single one. Every single Puppet Master so far,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
So-
because there were some of them that you're like, I don't know what that is, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
well,
oh.
like, and then this is an interesting one. Kaiser. Which one do you think Kaiser is?
It's not the drone one, is it?
No.
No. That one was wild. That
Yeah.
one was happening, and he was like, what the hell is that? And I'm like,
It's interesting because this is just the one that I was like, oh, they renamed it. A little hint there.
is it one I'd remember?
Yes.
Yeah. My brain is like,
His old name was Torch, and he's my favorite puppet.
oh,
Really weird. They
yeah,
renamed
the
him Kaiser.
first, because that was the first one that we saw, right?
Yeah, he's kind of the first one that kills somebody on screen.
Yeah.
He
That looked
burns the
really
Jewish
bad.
people.
Yeah, maybe it's just me, but it looked so bad. Like you could tell,
God.
like the melting thing was separate from them just
Oh
falling.
yeah, totally. Yeah. He burned the Jewish people.
Yeah.
What about Happy? This is a layup right here. If you don't get this one, what about Happy Amphibian?
Was that the frog?
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah, because your
Apparently,
nickname is
yeah,
Diggum.
yeah.
So
Apparently he shoots poison darts. Is his
Ew.
thing, which you can see
Yeah.
it happening or whatever.
Gross.
And he's new.
yeah.
He hasn't been in one before. Weird looking. He's got like weird fingies and a weird like jester hat on.
Because there were some of them, I'm like, what the hell? Like, did they just kind of think of whatever? And that
Yeah, it
was
was kinda
kind of
weird
one of
ones.
them. But I mean, whatever. I mean,
What about Mechanicer? Mechanic? Yeah, Mechanicer. I think that's what it is.
that's not the one that went inside the one guy, is it?
No. You will know which one that is when I say its name, because it has a very distinct name.
I'm like,
It was kind of the one that I don't understand what it did. Like, it's one that I think it shows up a couple times, too, and there's a bunch of them, and I'm like, I don't understand what it does. Even it says on here, like, weapons, I'm like, that doesn't
don't-
explain very much to me, so.
yeah, I don't know.
It's, this guy right here. Look at. The weird guy with
He
the
was
wheels.
yeah.
And it says weapons, spikes attached to wheels. Like, that doesn't
But
really.
he just kind of shot spikes, I think, and didn't really.
Yeah, it was
He didn't really
odd.
do anything else, so kind of. Because there was quite a few of that one.
Yeah. What about Grasshopper? I think that's very obvious what that one was. It was the grasshopper one.
Was there a grasshopper?
Yeah. So here's the shot right here.
Oh yeah, when they were coming
when
on
they came
the.
flying in. Yeah. I guess it has claws and it has legs that can jump really far. Is what it says on here.
Okay.
Really weird. What about Mr. Pumper? In fact, I remember this puppet and you had a very visceral reaction to it.
Is it something gross?
Yes.
Yeah.
you had a very like, oh my god reaction because it was very. They blocked it out. That's funny. The picture.
Oh my god! I'm like, did I watch this movie?
Well, they didn't say any of the names. First of all. Let's
Yeah,
just
because
say that.
because
They
I
didn't say
think
any of the
in
names
it
of
they
anyone.
said there was at least 40.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and
outside,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
that's not.
But they
I'm
didn't
like,
say. It's not like they're like
Yeah.
Blade's over there, Pinhead's
Yeah.
over there. Like they didn't mention any of the puppets' names, which they don't in the originals, to be fair. So until at least in the first one, Mr. Pumper was this guy right here, this little weirdo. He's like a weird like gas pump.
Yeah, that was the one that I'm like, what the?
Yeah, what it says it has blood extracting needles, like a gas
'Cause
pump.
that was the one that was like jumping on top
Yeah,
of him.
yeah, and there was like blood coming
And then
out
it was
of
like
the
spurting
pumps.
out, yeah, and I'm like, what?
yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, and it was super all like excited, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
What about okay? If you don't get this one, you got a problem. Junior Führer.
This is the one he made fun of me when I said this. And it, like, straight as it popped out, I'm like, is that baby Hitler? And he goes, what? Like,
It was,
just the
I
way
just
that
was
I
like,
said
oh
it, yeah.
my god! Like as soon as you can, because when it first does its thing, you can't really tell what it is. Like it's like weird, like it's weird shots. Like it's like when he's going into the guy's back or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like shot really weird, and you can't really tell what's going on or like what it looks like. But I thought it was Pinhead,
Yeah,
since it was like
but
strong. But apparently not. What about auto gyro? That's a pretty easy one too. Auto gyro.
I'm like, that's not the.
Helicopter one?
Yeah, is it the one with the?
yeah.
Because it was his hand, right?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
has like one hand that's like a helicopter blade, and he has the like helicopter landing gear for feet
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
Which I liked him.
gyro.
He was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he was a cool addition.
Because he had the like drone feet. Was it that one? No, that one's a separate one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What about the last one here? Moneylender. Which maybe got the biggest reaction out of me because I was like, "Oh my god, is that what I think it is?" And then it did something that was like disgusting. Moneylender was the like super offensive like Jewish stereotype.
Oh yeah,
looking
yeah,
one
the one that like
pulls
popped.
the baby
yeah.
out of the lady.
And like I'm like, is it gonna like cut the neck of the baby? And he like just runs
Ran off
away with it.
and
Yeah.
It's referenced again.
And I'm like, what
Well, it's
happened
like a fetus.
to the?
It's not
yeah.
like a baby for sure. It's like a fetus.
But it's still, I mean, yeah, it looked like a baby in its arms.
Moneylender
I'm like,
is a
oh.
Jewish propaganda puppet that Andre Toulon or his family business had built sometime between the 1920s and the 40s. This puppet was originally made to perform on the stage alongside Blade and was created to poke fun at the Jewish community. And if you look at this puppet, I had a picture of it,
Yeah.
you're going to be like, that is fucked.
He is
Because it is so
horrible.
disturbing and like, just like he's like
head is
he's like
gross.
dressed like a rabbi, but they give it
Yeah.
is like Jewish propaganda where it's like he's got a really pointy nose, like he looks like lying and scheming, and he pulls a baby at like a fetus out of
Yeah.
somebody. So, but anyways, so all hell starts breaking loose in this thing. You see Blade get a kill in. Like I said, you see now Kaiser, I guess is his name,
Yeah.
get a kill in where he burns his Jewish people, and they figure out that all these puppets are killing people that are like people that
Like
Nazis
hate
would kill.
crimes,
'Cause
yeah.
They kill like an. Oh my god! I almost forgot the one where the dude's taking a piss in the bathroom.
Dude, I think we both looked at each other and were like,
like, did that just
oh
happen?
my god,
'Cause
yeah.
The auto gyro comes in and cuts his head off.
Yeah, because I normally I wouldn't like something like that, but it did a point of view of him peeing, and then
he was
his
pissing
head
on his own
falling.
head in the
Yeah, his
toilet.
head falling in the toilet and peeing on his own head.
Oh my god, it was
And
amazing.
then,
It was absolutely amazing. And he was like a gypsy or whatever, so they figure out like, oh, they're killing people that are like not that Nazis would kill.
Yeah.
Or people that get in their way, obviously, which is why they have an excuse that everybody else is getting killed.
Yeah.
Whatever. A couple highlights in the movie. Like I said the Junior Führer thing when they call everybody, because like eventually they're like, first they think it's like people that are killing everybody, and nobody's like can't be the puppets or whatever. So they're like, let's get everybody in the thing. So they're like trying to gather everybody up in the lobby. Or
Yeah, and then everyone's locked in,
Yeah.
sort of, and then
And
people
well, and
just
then-
start freaking out.
There's this interracial couple in their room, and then because it's the guy with the long hairs in there, and then something comes and like gets inside of his body. Remember? Like pulls it open and gets inside of his body to kill his like wife or girlfriend or whatever, and then he gets up and then the like puppets controlling him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
So they like they're trying to figure it out, and like Thomas Lennon's character has it figured out somehow that it's the
Yeah,
puppets already. That he's like, oh, it's the puppets. And then the police want to keep everybody in there, but everybody starts freaking out. They start running out the door or whatever. And then all hell breaks loose out there because there are just puppets everywhere, and there's just people getting murdered everywhere. One of the parts that made us laugh and gasp and just like, I can't believe this movie.
Yeah.
So there's this black bartender, and his name is what's his name? Cuddle Bear or something like that.
I don't know.
He keeps calling. He's talking about himself in the third person at first, which is weird. Something Bear, and then so he's outside, and all hell's breaking loose, and there's a kid, and he's next to his dead mom, and he's like, "Come here, get over here," and then I think he says, and I'm,
quoting it, yeah,
quoting
but we
this
had to be like,
100%.
did he just say that? Like,
So he tells the kid, he says, "Come here, child. Stay behind the colored man."
like
And
what?
we just looked at each other. Was like, "Oh my god, did that just happen?"
I don't even know if he said man. I swear he was like, "Oh, get
He
behind the
said
colored."
man. He did
And
say
I'm like,
man, thankfully.
I was just like, wait, what? There's
But then-
we had
so-
to look at each other like,
so-
did he just say
But
that?
what's fucked up is you don't even have time to recover from that, and you're going
No,
like, "Wait,
no,
what?"
what?
And then all of a sudden, he's like at the door, and he's going in, and then he like turns around, and then like the kid's hands are like left on
Yeah,
his shirt.
I think it was
The like auto gyros were like coming for him, and so they kill the kid and cut his
yeah,
hands
and it
off.
just cut his hands off, and he's like, what the hell? He turns around, and it's just the kid's
His
hands attached to his
oh
back,
my
and he's like,
God,
oh,
it's
like,
hilarious. I was dying at that.
Yeah, that was one point when everything started
Yeah.
just to fucking
And
go
then
nuts.
and then they go inside, and everything's just kind of
Yeah.
going crazy. All the puppets are doing their thing. Like I said, a lot of cool new puppets. Like it's interesting because there's not there's not too many older ones. Although they've said in the next one they might do older ones.
That'd be
Hopefully,
cool.
Leech Woman will be back. She hasn't been in it in a long time. But yeah, apparently this is real quick. One of the guys that did the Meg did this movie. Really strange.
Oh, weird, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so chaos ensues. Then eventually, like, they figure out that Andre Toulon is in his thing, I guess. They're like, oh, the rods inside of his
Yeah,
thing
because they
must
say
be
something
controlling
like,
the
"Oh,
puppets."
that architecture is a little weird. It
Yeah.
doesn't match the
That's
it
a
doesn't
weird
match the
line.
rest of the style of the mausoleum."
Yeah,
And
that
we're
was
like,
a really
"What?"
weird line. It doesn't match the rest
It
of the
was so
architecture.
oddly specific, and we're just like,
Yeah, it's like, oh,
"Okay."
that's fine, I guess.
I mean, I didn't think it looked too odd. But,
Yeah. So they go there to take on Toulon himself.
This was
Crash
so
into it,
weird.
and then he comes out of the thing, and he's all like, he looks like kind of like the dad from Creepshow. Like
Yeah.
in the beginning, he kind of has that look where he's all like weird.
He's
He's
like
oh,
half there, like,
yeah. And
kinda
so they like
slimy.
fight, and he's trying to kill Thomas Lennon's girlfriend.
yeah.
And then Thomas Lennon like beats him up, and you're like, yeah. And then he goes and for some reason, okay, this is weird. For some reason, Thomas Lennon's girlfriend are just sitting there while this guy's running away. They're just sitting there
True.
holding each other.
Yeah, and they're just like, "Oh my God, are you okay?"
Like it's over.
And he's like running
And he's
away,
still
and I'm
running
like,
away and doing stuff. And wouldn't you
and
be
he's
like,
still
what's he
kind of
doing?
slow, so I'm like, you could totally just tackle him.
Yeah,
Like, what the
wouldn't you be like, what's he doing over there? And
No,
then,
yeah.
And then so he pulls out a gun and just shoots
Yeah.
Thomas Lennon's girlfriend, and he's like, no. And then I guess he runs, and then Andre Toulon runs away, and they cut to his comic about this
Yeah.
situation, and then the implication is that he's going to be in another one and another one and
Another one.
and fight the pup and fight Andre Toulon again, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
guess that's
I don't
even
know
though-
if he went to just go back to sleep, like.
Yeah, even though it won't be the next one or whatever, because the next one they said's a prequel.
Yeah, which is weird.
It's
and
called
I'm like, okay.
Arians Ahoy.
Wow.
So it's supposed to be a prequel of when he was a Nazi and when he's killing people and all stuff like that. But yeah, overall, I would very much recommend it to watch if you like Puppet Master, or if you like just movies that are like trashily kind of over the top and funny.
Yeah.
It's not serious at all,
No.
but it's also not.
But it looks good too, which
Yeah,
is nice.
Yeah, it looks nice. Yeah, because when I saw the trailers, it looked kind of like really that had that like crappy independent camera style look like, but it looked fine. Like
Because
it
there
looked,
were some
it looked like a
parts
movie, essentially.
that I remember when they first introduced you said what's his name's character? I don't know. The guy that goes back to his parents' house that got divorced. So it shows kind of him walking through the house, I think. And I just like it. The camera's so shaky, and I'm like, what the fuck is this camera work? And then they fixed it, but I just was like, that was really weird.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's good.
Yeah,
I'd
and
watch
I really liked it. I was surprised that you did, honestly.
Really?
I was
Yeah,
like,
you know
I
that I
liked
like
it, so
things
he
that
probably fucking hated it.
You know the things that I like things that are over the top,
Yeah.
ridiculous, and it was appropriately over the top, ridiculous. So, yeah, overall, gets a. Let's borrow a thing here. It gets a hard rent from me. A hard rent. What do you give it?
My brain's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's worth seeing, yeah.
So you give it a rent,
Yeah.
as in like you wouldn't feel gypped if we had paid $5 for it.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
could rent it and you'd probably be satisfied with it. You know what I mean? Like,
but there's
especially.
no need. But there's no need to like rewatch it over and over.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah, it was good.
Like, especially, as far as a whole, without me seeing any of the other ones, I did get the point.
Yeah.
So, and it was nice enough that, like, even from looking at, like, old posters and stuff, I know, was in the Blade one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew what he looked like, and I'm like, that's the guy on the poster.
Yeah. Totally.
But,
there you go.
yeah,
That's it.
it was good, so.
Let's wrap this up here. Say thank you for listening to episode 2. You can find us on social media at Dead of Night Pod. You can find me on social media at Jake Fatal.
And you can find me at Rotten Dolls Clothing, all one word, no caps.
There you go. Look at that. So go check those out. You can also find us on YouTube at Dead of Night, where we upload these podcasts and we upload other content as well.
Yeah, so we've got some up our sleeve for soon, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Goodbye.